Licensed games. If there's one thing there's known for, it's providing nothing but the highest quality 100% of the time. Okay, so maybe that's not the case, but these sorts of games are definitely making a bit of a comeback. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this happen, though. You see, back in the 90s, licensed games were in a sort of a renaissance, wherein picking up a title with a recognizable mascot on the cover didn't automatically mean it was crap. A lot of the most fondly remembered pieces from the 16-bit era were licensed, and this seems particularly true on the Sega Genesis. In fact, browsing its catalog, one game in particular jumped out at me, and I knew pretty much immediately I was going to have to play it. McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. I actually have a bit of a history with McDonald's related media. I played a McDonald's Roblox obby back in 2016, so I'm pretty much an expert at this point. Let's take a look. McDonald's Treasureland Adventure allows me to fulfill my lifelong dream of slipping into the shoes of Ronald McDonald. You know, if I really want to become Ronald McDonald, really want to get into the mindset, I'm gonna have to dress the part. Well, I don't appear to have any clown paraphernalia. This is the best I was able to scare up. Hopefully the McDonald's side of Twitter doesn't take it too seriously. One day, good old Ron is making his way through a forest, I assume looking for more children to indoctrinate, when he stumbles across a piece of a treasure map. The missing 3 pieces are in the hands of 3 presumably industrious, hardworking individuals, but being the captain of industry that he is, Mr. McDonald decides to redistribute the entirety of the map to himself for the sake of the economy. In order to do this, he'll have to set out on a platforming adventure, and he won't be able to do it without your complacence. Moving through levels, you're able to move, jump, and shoot a beam of magic to attack, using your dark powers to instantly raise the cholesterol of any creature to such a high level that they keel over on the spot. You're also able to extend a line of handkerchiefs to grab onto hooks and platforms. Being released on the Genesis, Treasureland Adventure uses a 3-button layout. As someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with this kind of controller, the controls were a bit hard for me to wrap my head around at first, having 2 action buttons side by side by default. Fortunately though, in a shockingly ahead of its time move for the 90s, you can remap buttons however you like from the main menu. Thanks to this, I was easily able to come up with something I felt comfortable with, and I never really had any problems in that department from then on. By now you've probably also noticed that this game looks really nice. The colors are very vibrant, and the sprite work is done really well, 99.9% of the time. The game very much has a Genesis feel and aesthetic, which I like a lot. The soundtrack of this game gets a lot of praise, and I don't think it's without merit. While I can't say any of the songs particularly stood out to me as master compositions, the Level 1 theme is definitely quite memorable and recognizable. Your adventure in search of Treasureland will take you through 4 distinct worlds. I really have to hand it to this game for the variety and creativity displayed in each level. World 1 will see you making your way through more or less your standard grassy plains, but directly after you'll be in a flooded cave where you'll have to follow timers and safety markers to avoid a deluge of water. The next level is themed entirely around trains, navigating through cars around the exterior, and eventually through a subway tunnel. The third stage is all about pirates, taking place on a ship and seemingly having more of a focus on puzzle solving. And finally, level 4 sends you to imperialized space, allowing you to explore an alien planet in low gravity and finally finish off in a space station full of futuristic machinery. Each level ends with a boss fight, and there's quite a bit of creativity seen in these too. Win the fight and you'll score a piece of the map. Remember kids, violence is always the answer. I really love the design of the actual bosses. They look so wacky and interesting and are animated really well in my opinion. The boss fights operate on a pretty interesting mechanic as well. They can only be hit at certain points, which is pretty standard, but you actually have to let them suck up a piece of your health before you're able to progress in their pattern. This really doesn't affect the way fights play out all too much, but it's definitely an interesting concept, and it's nice to see developers try something new every once in a while. I like the idea of the final boss as well. Having a battle across different layers of the screen is pretty cool, even if the fight itself isn't all too exciting in the end. This isn't a particularly difficult or punishing game, if you ask me. You start out with relatively little health, but as you play, you're able to collect health expansions or buy them at the shop with all the gold scattered throughout levels. Your health resets when you get a game over though. You're initially confronted with a limited amount of continues, but for some reason when you run out, you can simply collect a password that places you right back where you left off, making the whole system seem kind of pointless. This game offers 3 difficulty modes, which you can choose from in the settings: beginner, normal, and expert modes. By default, you'll start in beginner mode, if you live in North America at least, because as we all know, everyone who lives in the Western Hemisphere is a coward. Thankfully, the difficulty setting is displayed loud and proud above your health bar, easily allowing you to determine who amongst your friends are true Ronald McDonald stans and who you need to cut contact with.
Whoa man, you got Treasureland Adventure? I love this game.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. What are you doing?
I'm gonna play a little. I used to play this game almost every day when I was younger.
Yeah, but it looks like you might have accidentally started in beginner mode.
Oh yeah, man, this game's brutal. I've never really been able to get past the first or second stage on any of the higher difficulties.
Oh, get out.
What do you mean?
I said get out!
Unfortunately though, these options are pretty weak, taking the most boring possible approach of simply increasing the amount of damage enemies deal to you and decreasing the amount of damage you do to enemies. To be fair though, these aren't ever presented as any sort of New Game Plus. They really are just selectable difficulties to help match your comfort level, and there's something to be said for that. All in all, I had a pretty good time with McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. I sincerely appreciate the amount of accessibility features that are available right from the start, and I can admire the game for all the small places it tries something different, as it's the small things that really make games like this stand out. There is a certain charm to the McDonald's ethos that was built up over time if you can manage to look past the fact that it was all explicitly designed to get young children hooked on some of the most unhealthy garbage imaginable. When it comes to gameplay though, even despite all of the uniqueness of the presentation, I can't help but feel that this is a very by-the-books platformer. This title is considered a bit of a cult classic among Genesis fans, so I doubt I'll make any friends by saying this, but while I know for a fact my time with this game will stick with me, I'd put the likelihood of a revisit at relatively low. Nevertheless, I do think you should check out this game, if there's a convenient way for you to do so. As is the fate of so many licensed games, Treasureland Adventure has never been re-released to my knowledge, so your options for play are less than expansive. Original cartridges, even in very rough shape, go for quite the pretty penny, and that's if you have a system to play it on. But beyond that, your only other option is straight emulation. Still, if one of these days you find yourself craving some McDonald's, it would probably be a lot healthier than actually going to eat there. Oh, did you hear that? That's the sound of the conclusion of another video. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I'm once again going to be asking for some feedback. I'm trying to find a good balance between information and comedy in my videos, and I would really appreciate it if you could let me know how you feel about it in the comment section down below. I'm always trying to improve, and hearing from you makes it easier for me to do that. Of course, if you're not much for typing, you could always just leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you really want to show some appreciation, why not smack the subscribe button? It's absolutely free and ensures you'll never miss an upload. While you're down there, you could also check the description for any of my social media. I'm really trying to be more active there even if I suck at it, so I'd love to see you come over. Finally, the description is also where you can find any of the music that I used in this video, if you're interested in that kind of thing. With that being said, I'll see you all next week, and as always, thanks for watching.